Hi, and welcome to Talkward. I'm Marty Dundix, editor-in-chief of Weekly Humorous Magazine, and this is Talkward, a fun little podcast where professionally funny people can come and tell awkward and cringeworthy stories. Today, my guest is Brittany Brave. Brittany is a stand-up comic, writer, and a entrepreneurial type person.
Sure. CEO of my own brand.
You got a brand. You got the Brittany Brave brand.
Yes.
Brittany Brave.
Yes.
But welcome to Talk with Brittany Brave. Thanks for coming on.
Gosh, thank you for having me. Professionally funny is just like running on a marquee in my
Isn't that fun?
head. Yeah.
Professionally funny.
Professionally funny. Even if you're not making any money yet, then you're professional in your soul.
No, that just means that you're running a startup.
Entrepreneurial,
Yes,
if you will.
I'm entrepreneurial.
Okay. Yeah.
There's no revenue, but I'm my own boss.
Yes.
I'm the CEO of this chair.
Define your own currency.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just like, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
It's fine.
I'm rich in ambition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a startup.
Exactly.
It's a startup. Well, thanks for being on Talkward.
Oh my God, thank you for having me.
Delightful. I met you on the Tweeter.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, who's this super duper entrepreneurial
Psycho.
female power brand
Sure.
you got going on?
Oh, psycho and female power brand are the same.
Empowerment.
Yeah.
Empowerment. So you are running a thing called CatCall.
Yes, I am.
Which I thought was a great name.
Thank you.
You were complimenting guaranteed delivery earlier. I think CatCall is a great brand. It's a way to take a word and turn it around completely, 360 it, and make it something that's a good thing for women.
Flip it on its head.
Right? So
yeah.
Tell me all about CatCall.
Yeah. So, a long road to getting to naming that. I was mentioning before we started recording that naming things is like the bane of my existence.
And it's one of the most important things about starting a business.
Yeah.
Is the name.
Yeah, and I always think like it's very easy to overthink it, obviously, and throw out decent ideas and embrace not so decent ideas. But I'm like, I think if you just end up doing really cool shit and building your own legacy, any name can sound cool.
Yeah.
Like before Beyonce was Beyonce sounds kind of ridiculous.
Right.
But then she built it into Beyonce.
Exactly.
So now it's a proper noun. Now it's its own thing. No, CatCall's great. We soft launched in 2016. By soft launch, it's just like an entrepreneurial tag term. And
it means that you started a company that no one knows about for a while.
Yeah, or
we weren't ready to let anyone see it yet.
Yeah, or
so
like
we soft launched it so no one would look and say, "Is this it? Is this it?" No, this isn't it. We're soft launching.
No, you can't judge my startup. I soft launched it.
Exactly.
I soft
it means we're not done yet.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not ready to come out of the oven.
Yeah, and what it meant for me was I wasn't properly managing my time and hadn't dedicated enough time to it yet.
Yeah.
So I call that year of dipping in and out of this idea to start CatCall and these like panels and roundtables that we had like a soft launch in a sense. When really what it was is I didn't get my shit together. But I did get my shit together this time last year.
But you can't know these things starting. Like when I started Humorous Media and I launched Weekly Humorist, I started with the best knowledge I had at the time, but looking back, it's been a little over a year, and I would have done so many things differently to begin. Like, man, I could have been 6 months ahead of myself had I known this in January.
Yeah.
But you don't know it in January.
No, and you can't beat yourself up about that.
There's no way you could figure that out. You had to go through all that hell.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I was doing this totally wrong.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you feel this way, but I get more confused, pleasantly confused, the farther I go along with CatCall in some ways. Like, I did start it, like, this could be as big as it's going to be or as small as it's going to be. This could go in so many different directions. And I definitely relate to looking back now and being like, God, you did so much wrong, or why did you not do this? But I think once things start to pick up, now the decision-making's harder. Like, now that we're, like, a year and change in, I'm more confused. Like, I'm not confused, but there's higher stakes.
There's higher stakes. I think when you first start out, you try everything, and you're kind of like, sure, I'm open to that. Sure, I'm open to that. What the hell? Who gives a shit?
Fuck
no
it,
one's
going to
see
soft
it.
Launch.
No one's going to see this, right? And then And then you start doing better, and then people do start looking at you, and you're like, oh, this is great. People are noticing. But then the stakes are higher because there's more risk, right? So it's like, well, no, I'm not going to try that. Are you crazy? I'm going to lose the audience I have gotten now, and I don't want to do anything to jeopardize that. So then you start overthinking, like, well, maybe I shouldn't do that, or maybe that's not going to align with my brand. So then you start kind of, worrying too much, and that's not good either. You have to keep your focus, the same excitement and daring do that you had when you first launched. You got to keep that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But in a controlled way.
And listen to your intuition, too. Like the same gut kick and gut instinct you had to start what you started is going to lead you into the right direction as you build it and as you continue it. Also, is like you flesh out, you start working with other people or tossing ideas onto other people. Take advice, but take it with discretion.
So now what's CatCall become in the past year? You started it, and you did round tables. You brought people in. You had events.
Yep.
And you did events. I've looked, and you have like a lot of like sponsorship type cross promoting of things. Like you bring a lot of different people in.
Yes, we do.
That's organizational like headaches for me. I would be so afraid of that.
Yeah,
it's just a lot to have to worry about.
It is a lot to have to worry about. So it's funny you're posing the question at my height of confusion with CatCall. In a good way. I mean this. We started off with the intent of just building a network or putting some structure around this network of girls that were in music and entertainment, and we all had some of the same opinions and kind of were after the same things. So that's where the panels and roundtables. That's a very fancy way of saying we like polished off a couple bottles of wine and brainstormed and all got closer. It literally was kind of like a cult. It started. It was like one girl would bring two girls. You're like, okay, like we had our inner circle, and we're like, if you're going to come here, bring two girls that nobody else knows, and try and bring people that you think would align with this and have different career paths and professional crafts as well too. So then we had this little network. Then we were a nonprofit organization. And then we just started
officially. You did that whole thing?
No, we have not. So
okay, that's a whole thing.
That's a whole thing. That's where the plot twist comes in. And then we just got really good at doing all female curated events, and that's something
because we can all of us terrible startups could just call ourselves a nonprofit,
and then
by default. I mean, ask me a question: do I make any profit? No, I'm a nonprofit.
A soft launch nonprofit. I'm a hobby.
I'm anti-revenue right now.
Yeah, so, yeah. Who needs revenue when you have passion? So we are. I think we have nonprofit aims, intentions, and then we got really good at having a platform that created a platform for other women. So whether it was musicians, comedians, spoken word poets, people who are passionate about rhetoric and debate, we've dipped into that. And then the other day, my best friend just blew my mind, and she was like, we are a female conduit. And I was like, that sounds like a type of birth control that's going to be around in 2 years, like a conduit,
conduit.
Like an intra-conduit.
Did you bring a conduit?
I didn't bring a conduit.
You can go pick up some conduits at the corner store.
Yeah. No, never mind. They're illegal now.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So I think that's what we are. I think ultimately we are a platform to create and support other platforms where the female voice and whatever it wants to talk about gets heard and gets lifted. Female talent.
I think that's great. I think that it's a hot topic right now.
Yeah.
And I think that if there's going to be an organization that's going to do well, it should be run by women, because women are much more, in my mind, organized and good at. Mm-hmm. I mean, I was raised in a female dominant household. Mm-hmm. I'm the youngest of two sisters, and my mom, was always there. My dad was traveling when I was a kid all the time. Mm-hmm. But so the family was majority female.
Yeah.
And I was the youngest, so I was coddled, obviously. Mm-hmm. But the role models I had were all just completely strong females, which is all I ever understood or expect.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love it. I do think I love men. This is not, and especially CatCall, it's not an anti-man or man-bashing organization, female conduit. But I do sense a difference in perspectives, politically and socially, and in how men who have grown up around strong women or in female-dominant households approach interactions with women.
Yeah.
And it's great. It's something we appreciate. There's just like an inherent understanding, I think. Not saying that men who don't have that, but
I just assume women are always going to be smarter than me at stuff.
It's amazing.
Just by default. I just like, well, obviously give it to her. She'll be able to do this no problem.
Yeah, she's the brains behind the operation.
Yeah, she's the brains.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah.
And
I think in general that's a good attitude to adopt.
It's a good default, you know, and then there's a lot of, and I'm just an ignorant male, but I'm always so shocked to hear.
Are you though? If you admitted it,
I don't know. Maybe
audience.
I'm always so shocked to hear about all the different things that are so terrible with gender and with the amount of the pay gap and all the different things that, you know, women don't get hired for this or don't get paid for this and all that. I'm always like, I don't know how those people did not get raised in a female-dominated household, because whoever started that horrible system didn't know anything.
Yeah.
You know, like, what?
Yeah.
How did that happen?
And how you ignore an entire other side of the constituency just because. I just think people get uncomfortable and react impulsively and foolishly whenever things are inconvenient or different to them.
But all the satire coming out for the Kavanaugh stuff has been very eye-opening. It's amazing how they can shine a light on something and make it so funny and so poignant. Like, The Onion's been putting out some amazing stuff.
Oh, yeah.
About, like, they spun it so that you had to be really sensitive to males who had
I saw that this morning.
A man didn't get something that he wanted, so you had to be sensitive to all men who possibly had gone through that trauma. It was like nation urges sensitivity during this time that man has to realize his own wrongdoing. Yeah, like he didn't get that thing he wanted. It was great. Yeah. And I love comedy's response to it. Yeah, I mean, making fun of something is one of the... Humor is something that it can kind of cross all borders, and I think it can educate people and show people how stupid something is. Mm-hmm. You know, you're like, oh, you look how foolish you are because of this joke, and you're like, oh, I get it, I'm an idiot. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, look how horrible I am. And that there was a political cartoon that came out this week, and there was actually like some back and forth on it, but I thought it was a fantastic cartoon. It was Lady Liberty being held down, and it was like a Republican. You could tell it was Republican hands, and he hit his hand over her mouth. Oh my gosh! And like holding her wrist. It was like someone like sexually assaulting her, and it was like Lady Justice, where she had a blindfold on, and the hands were wearing Republican cufflinks. Ooh. And I was like, that's a really good cartoon. Like that summarizes all of this. All of these hearings summarized in one editorial cartoon. That was magnificently done, and it really stirred conversation. But that's what they're supposed to do. That's absolutely what it's supposed to do. And I think, like, especially now as a comedian, a lot of people, I joke about things on stage, and I talk about things on stage that are triggering to some people, or they don't want to hear about it. And I always try and urge audience members. I'm like, me joking about it is not what's fucked up. The fact that this occurs is what's fucked up. Yeah. Like, and that's like the subtext I try to convey. And especially as a comedian or a cartoonist or anybody in that creative field, when I try to put comedy on a topic, I'm not devaluing it. If anything, as a comedian, humor is the most important thing to me. Yeah. So if I deem something important enough to write a bit about it, or write a video sketch about it, or draw a cartoon about it, I understand for you think I'm poking fun and trying to cut down its importance. Au contraire, for me, this is the most important thing in my life. Do you do videos and stuff too? I do. Wow. Yeah, you're multimedia. Yes, we have to be. Yeah. I'm a Renaissance woman. Yeah, you do have to do everything these days. Yeah, you have to be everywhere all the time. You have to, be in people's alarm clocks. It's so hard to keep up. There's so many different things. Like, you can't just be funny. Like with Weekly Humorist, you got to be funny with the writing, and that's great. And then we have cartoons, and that's great. But then you also have to share all that stuff on Instagram and the Twitter and the Facebook, and you have to be all these places. And I haven't even tried Snapchat. I refuse. I don't like it. Good. Yeah, I'm waiting for it to die. Me too. Like the other one that I waited for it to die, and then it did. Yelp. No, I'm not. Is Yelp still around? I think it might be. What was the Vine? Oh, Vine. How I waited for Vine. It was just a way to make everybody in the world look like such a pain in the ass, like on loop like that. And the content was as dumb as it can get. I felt too. It was only like 7 seconds or something. 7 seconds of ridiculousness. Yeah. I went through a Snapchat binge in college, which I'm glad that was an appropriate time of my life
to abuse and use that platform. I think it was the last chance before entering the real world and looking like a moron. But and then I just very quickly burnt out for me. Something about it is so like frivolous.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah, I'm anti-Snapchat.
And you got into the comedy world. You were kind of like circling it for a while.
Yeah.
Before you really jumped in. You were in music industry business.
Yes.
Marketing.
Yes.
That kind
PR.
of thing. PR.
Yeah. Yeah. I was a music publicist for 6 years. So I just inflated male egos all the time and lied on retainer.
You sound great. Oh, man, that
Thank
new track.
you.
New track is killer.
If you can believe it, my moral compass is better now in comedy than it was when it was in PR.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I grew up doing theater heavily and improv. And when I went to college, I was super involved in it. And for whatever dumb reason, I never decided to make that my professional track because I also do wholeheartedly love music. And then I just got sucked in by the antiquated claws of the music industry.
Yeah.
And I did that for 6 years, but I was still doing like UCB and circling. That's a good way of describing it. And then about a year and a half ago, I got really sick of, like, I am so ashamed to say that I'm responsible for headlines like this. Like, ambient pop outfit Gelatin Dreams debuts new single. Why did you tell my therapist that? Like, you know, like on a daily Gelatin, like I legit, like that's not too far off from bands that I worked with. I just snapped and I was like, I don't know why I'm spending so much time doing something that really doesn't bring me joy.
Yeah.
And the thing that brings me all the joy, even on its ugliest days.
So you had like a falling down moment.
A little bit, yeah. And it was like a light switch. I just woke up one day and was like, this is horseshit. Like, I think I just had to, I listened to another stupid song that I really didn't believe in.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't bring myself to sell something that I didn't want to sell.
Yeah.
That you know, I wouldn't buy. And I literally dropped what I was doing. It was like a very dramatic moment. Dropped what I was doing work-wise and ran to an improv jam and then ran to an open mic. And I was just like, this is ridiculous.
And are you... So how did you start doing stand-up comedy?
Stand-up, I just started...
Just going to open mics?
Going to open mics. I started writing my own material. I had written sketches, so I had experience with that. But I was primarily an improviser and comedic actress, like in that realm. I had sworn off stand-up. I myself wasn't a huge fan of it. I was much more like I loved SNL, I loved UCB, all of, you know, that part of comedy. And I just started writing material that I didn't know was material at the time. And then I said, well, what is this? I can't turn this into a sketch.
You're writing like things that would be maybe monologues that turned into stand-up.
And anecdotes and thoughts and assumptions and theories and opinions no one wants to hear. And then I said, where's the place for that? Oh, an open mic.
Yeah.
And I just got thrusted into it. And then I was doing it and writing and trying to focus on it. And then I got an opportunity to audition for TBS, had a Comics to Watch showcase at New York Comedy Festival last year. Got connected to it, went in, sent a tape, auditioned, and they were like, yeah, you're great. You could do 10 minutes. And I said, fuck, I don't have 10 minutes, literally.
Wow.
Yeah, I was like, do I have 10 minutes? And I just hit the ground running. And
you wrote 10 minutes together?
I probably had like 5.
Just do it slowly.
Just I did 5 minutes of material, 3 minutes of interpretive dance, and 2 minutes of recovery crowd work. And the people loved it. They loved it.
It's time for shadow puppets.
It's time. Who is a puppet? Hello. Okay, now I will attempt juggling. No.
But it went okay?
It was great. It was what I needed. I needed that fire under my ass. I hate to say that. I mean, I submitted. I had the comedic.
So that was like a year ago.
It was a year ago.
Because New York Comedy Festival is coming up in November.
Yep. That was technically my first ever stand-up show.
Is a New York Comedy Festival show.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a way to start.
Thank you. And I look back now, and it went fine. Like, it was fine. You know, like, for your first stand-up set, like, A-okay.
Yeah.
Like, it was fine. But I do definitely look back now, and I'm like, God, thank God no one recorded that. Like,
what was the venue?
Public hotels.
Okay.
Yeah. But it was fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and it was what I needed at the time. And like I said, I fell into stand-up.
So now you perform a lot.
Yes, all the time.
So you have a club that you are always at in Queens?
Yeah.
What's that
called? It's called the Misfit Hive. It is run out in Queens, Woodside, Queens. It's also backed by the Project for Living Artists. It's brand new. It's been open 6 months.
Nice.
Multiple showrooms, a full art gallery.
Wow.
Yeah, there's an antique shop connected to it as well. Yeah, it is the coolest space. It's like you walk into that space and you think you're in a live choose your own adventure.
Oh, I'll go there.
Yes, you should.
I'll go antiquing and see comedy.
Oh my gosh, there are some surprises in that antique shop. Like, it literally in the same shop, it's like, here's an original Mr. Potato Head and a grenade. Like,
okay.
Yeah.
Don't get those two things mixed up.
Don't get those two things mixed up. But I do think, if you have an interesting family, you could probably get all your Christmas shopping done.
Okay. So it's out in Woodside.
Woodside, yes. The Misfit Hive.
The Misfit Hive. Do they have a website?
They do.
What is the website?
MisfitHiveEntertainment.com. On Instagram, it's @FollowTheMisfits.
Cool.
Yeah, my buddy Craig Fox, who's a fantastic comedian, producer, writer, all-around guy. He's running that space out there.
Very neat.
Yeah, and it's really coming together nicely. And I'm a house comic there, and I produce shows there monthly.
Do they have, other than stand-up, do they have sketch?
They do.
Type shows?
They put everything up. They just had a presence at Fashion Week recently.
Really?
Yeah, they hosted fashion shows. They've had dance in there. On the music side, I've curated some concerts in there through CatCall. So it's just the absolute cool. It's a really, really special place, and Queens is a cool market for comedy too.
And do you live in Queens?
I do.
So that's how you kind of knew about him?
Yeah, I think that's part of how. I mean, Craig and I got connected when I started doing stand up, and he's been in the game for so long. And then he and I connected months and months ago, and he was like, "I want to bring you in and get you more involved." And it just worked out perfectly because I just moved to Astoria.
Is it anywhere near the QED?
It's probably about like a 10 to 15 minute Uber ride.
Oh, that's not bad.
Not bad at all. And yeah, between Misfit Hive, QED, Standing Room,
I like the Standing
the
Room.
Creek,
The Creek,
all of that.
Do people not call it the Creek and the Cave anymore? Has it changed? It's called the Creek now.
It is. I think I just.
Does no one call it the Creek and the Cave? I've gotten aged out of there too.
I know. I don't think so.
No, I have. It's fine.
I don't think so. It's a throwback. It's vintage. It's vintage.
I'm vintage.
The Creek is confusing. If somebody doesn't
They're
know,
going to sell me at that antique shop soon.
I would buy you.
Oh, thanks.
You're worth $1 million.
I'm a fixer-upper. So, CatCall, what's the next thing for CatCall now? Like, what's happening with CatCall?
We have our official first birthday party. Are you ready for this? It's happening at the Misfit Hive.
Okay.
Boom. Talk about
when?
Connecting dots. Saturday, October 20th.
Cool.
We are partnering with So Far Sounds, which is a great organization that does secret pop-up concerts around the world.
Okay.
So we do not reveal the lineup, but it is obviously very female-focused. And we've got some cool stuff going on. And I'm throwing it out at the Misfit Hive. So that's Saturday, October 20th.
All right. So we'll have a link to that.
Yes. I'll be hosting it and doing some comedy, and then far more talented people will be performing music after me.
Okay.
Yes.
That's exciting.
Yeah. I'm really stoked. I can't believe it's a year to the date from our first public to-do, and hurrah.
Very exciting.
Yeah. It's going to be cool.
And you're traveling. You're going to San Francisco?
San Francisco for the next couple days. I'll be out and about doing some shows there. And then I'm going out on tour.
Tell me about the tour.
Oh, tour's going to be fun. I am hopping on the tour with two of my good friends from college, Josh Novree and Gabrielle Magid. And it is mental health awareness themed. So Gabby is great, and she started her own nonprofit, Stronger Than Stigma.
Okay.
And it's all based on breaking stigmas around mental health conditions and diseases. And she's an improviser and new to the stand-up comic game. Josh has been in stand-up for years and years. We all go way back from college, and basically a portion of whatever proceeds we make are going to her organization. But it's called the Nobody's Happy Comedy Tour. Yeah.
Gotta setting the bar a little low.
A little bit, yeah.
None of these people are going to make you laugh.
Yeah.
Because we're all going to die.
Or it's like an inclusive thing, like you're not happy, I'm not happy.
None of us are happy.
Nobody's happy.
Let's make some jokes.
Come on, everything's shit. Yeah, but I'm unable to do the full tour with them, but I will be doing the Northeast U.S., So we have New York, Connecticut, Boston, and Philly, and then I'm going to hop on some Southeast U.S. states as well, too.
What Southeast are you going to go to?
Oh, my God. We have shows in Atlanta
Okay.
and Charleston, and I should know the routing off the top of my head. Oh, and obviously going back to Florida, which is unfortunately my home state.
Where in Florida are you from?
I grew up in Miami.
Well, that's not bad Florida. Bad Florida is kind of like the real meth, zombie bath salt Florida.
Well,
right?
bath salts happened in Miami.
Did it?
Oh, yeah.
I always think more of like dirty Florida is more, I don't know, Broward?
Broward is way... Broward's an hour out from Miami. They're just civilized freaks. They're like freaks with jobs. That's it. They're freaks with 9 to 5s, but outside of 9 to 5, they're eating faces too.
Yeah.
I trust me on this.
Yeah.
Miami is its own like Miami. It's just its own country within. I have never seen a more disjointed, fucked up state in my life. Like, it's hard to believe Miami and like Tallahassee are in the same state.
Yeah.
They're like 10 hours apart from each other.
They are very far apart.
Very, very far. And then they're just different worlds entirely. Yeah. So I went to school at the University of Florida in Gainesville. I liked that way better than Miami.
Yeah.
Probably actually my favorite part of Florida.
But, I mean, Miami, if you're in the high fashion, money, luxury side of Miami, it seems nice.
Yeah.
But I think there's many people who are not into that bracket of income that also live in Miami.
Yeah, that's true.
That's not as nice.
Very true. There's also like if you're into cocaine and reggaeton, Miami, that's a very real thing too. It's interesting. It's changed so much.
And everyone's addicted to Oxy.
Are they?
Isn't everybody on drugs in Florida?
Is that what's going on with my parents?
I watched something on 60 Minutes, and it was all talking about pain clinics and how Florida had nothing but pain clinics for like 5 years, and that's how everyone got addicted to Oxycontin and all of the drugs. And
I believe it.
And all this stuff. And people were like giving out pills like it was candy.
There is a retirement home. We have the weirdest headlines in Florida, and they're all true, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And there's a retirement home. Is it the Villages it's called? Or like, I think it's
that
called...
That sounds like a retirement community.
It sounds a place, like somewhere where people would die, I guess. I don't know. It's a retirement community, and they are like the #1 population for STDs.
That is very true. That's a nationwide epidemic at retirement homes is STDs.
It's not just there?
No. Everyone's having the free love in the retirement. Well, they don't give a shit. They're old. They're just like, let's go.
Is that called woodstocking?
I don't know. It should be.
Woodstocking.
I don't think there's that much wood stalking happening, but there's a pill for that.
Oxy.
Yeah. That might do it for you.
Yeah.
My grandmothers both ended up in a retirement home called Friendship Village in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And
I've totally heard of that.
I'm sure that there's more than one Friendship Village in the world, but I think pretty much every retirement home in the United States has some sort of an STD problem.
You know what's so funny?
And there's so few men. That's one of the major things. There's lots of women because the husbands die first, right? So if you're like a single man in a retirement home, it's like you are hot to try. You're a rare commodity.
I can get that. Like, there's more orgies because it's just efficient that way. Like, he's like, all right, ladies, I only got a couple months left, so let's get 4 of you in here.
Yeah. They're like, sounds good.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Sounds good, Hank.
Yeah, Friendship Village also sounds like a sorority house, which I also would think has record-breaking STDs.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, like Alpha Kappa already sounds like an infection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds, yes.
You know my stance on Greek life now.
So you're traveling tomorrow.
Tomorrow to San Francisco.
And we're going to get you on the next Guaranteed Delivery show.
Yes! I'm so excited.
Because you're missing this month, but we'll get you on for November. And I think you know Wendy.
I do. She's fantastic.
And
Tyler.
Ginny Hogan.
I do.
Some of all of my favorite New York, at least female comics that I've mentioned. I know Tyler, but who else? There's so many funny female comics.
Hell
just in like the New York small world.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's more. I've encountered more funny female comics than anything else.
I love that.
I feel like they're on more and more shows.
Yeah.
More and more,
aggressive.
It's not just like female focused comedy shows. It's just mainstream comedy shows.
Yep.
And I feel like the comics that I see, if I have to say who are the best comics, it's usually like, that woman who went second, and then the chick who went fourth. You know,
Yeah.
like, they were my favorites.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I think also, too, there's definitely, like, women coming to the forefront of comedy and stand-up specifically.
Yeah.
I feel like we all just woke up one day and we're like, we don't need you. We could get the job done ourselves.
It's true.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, there is a network, honestly. I've actually yet to really venture into a regular all-female comedy show because I'm a little bit intimidated by its badassery already. Like, I'm like, where would I begin?
Yeah.
Who would I book first?
Yeah.
Like, how do I want to do this? Are pants mandatory? I don't know. No, but it's awesome. I know all those comics you mentioned, and they're fantastic. So,
And we're having you on next time.
yes.
Well, this is awesome.
stoked.
I'm excited about going to the 1-year birthday party for CatCall.
Yes, please do.
I will come check it out. I will make my way to... I'll do my yearly or maybe 2 times every 5-year trip to Queens.
There you go.
The older you get, the more you don't go places.
Oh, I know it.
And, like,
Yeah.
I don't go to Queens anymore.
Yeah, see, I don't go to Brooklyn now. Like, there's
Yeah.
certain parts of Brooklyn that I'm like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
No.
There's places I'll end up accidentally.
Yeah,
But
that happens.
I won't go there on purpose.
Yeah, that's usually after a couple drinks for me.
Yeah, or I'm like, did I not tell the cabbie to stop? Where the hell
Where
are
the
we?
hell am I? I fell asleep on the train the other day, and I ended up like way out in Flushing, Queens.
Yeah, that happens.
And it was just the initial shock waking up, and I was
Yeah.
like, where am I? I thought I time traveled a little bit.
Scary.
Yeah. No offense to Flushing, Queens. If
Absolutely
you're listening.
not.
Don't
I
sue
fell
me.
asleep on the Q train when I first moved to the city, and I woke
my
up
God.
only because when it stopped. I think I was in Brighton Beach, Brighton Beach or Coney
Yeah.
Island, depending on if it was the Q or the D. And they stop and they hose it down, and I got woke up because they started washing the train, and I was still on it sleeping. And some homeless guy kicked me, and he was like, "You got to get off the train." And I was like, "Thank you, sir.
That is a sad day.
Welcome to New York."
Welcome to New York.
I think I lived here for about like 2 weeks
Yeah.
when that happened.
Oh my God. I had my inaugural cry on the subway, like my first year in New York, and a homeless man looked at me like, the fuck is going on with you? And I was like, ooh, this is a piece of humble pie.
Yep.
If I've ever had one.
That's where you get the real wisdom.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what
And-
really toughens you up.
And where can people find you on the internet? You're on Twitter is it at Brittany the Brave?
It's Brit Brave, BRIT Brave, as in Land of the Free.
And then Instagram is Brittany the Brave.
Brittany the Brave. Yeah. Yeah, I hate it.
It annoys you that they don't match, doesn't
It
it?
annoys me so
Yeah.
much that they don't match. And I think I'm like one character too many or some. Yeah, it's like one character too many on
annoying.
Twitter.
It's so annoying.
It's an outrage. It really is.
The things that really stick with us.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for coming on Talkward. Oh, you didn't tell me. Oh, real quick, you got to tell me an awkward story. I completely forgot.
Oh my God. Okay.
Doesn't have to be long.
Where to begin?
I don't know.
Really?
Anything terrible happen when you've done stand up before? Anyone ever shot anything?
Yeah. Yeah, I did. Okay, this is sort of funny. Mostly terrible. So my first bomb, I had my first like actual bomb, and you'll definitely, you have sets that aren't that great. You have weird crowds, maybe weird whatever. You know a bomb, it's like when someone's like, do I have the flu or not? It's like, oh, you'll know.
Yeah.
And the difference between a bad set and a bomb is there is like a tangible aggression from the audience. Like you're like, one of them is going to kill me on my way out of the show. So it was like a 250 plus show. Like the crowd was big, but terrible. Absolutely terrible. There was like a 3-drink minimum. The show was running over. I was like the 27th fucking comic to go up, like towards the end.
Yeah.
So they were
Done.
firing on all cylinders is what they were, like over it. And
They're like toddlers that are like my parents that have invented a word called overtired. And like the kids get to be like they're like monsters and they won't go to sleep. They're like, oh, he's overtired. I'm like, I think you made that word up, but I'll take it.
I think your kid's a shithead. Yeah, that's what I think. Yeah. And so I get up there and you don't get to see the comics that go on before you or after because you're like trapped and caged in a green room and like, with no food or light or water. It was great. But somehow I found a gin and tonic, so it was fine. No, but I get up there and I have no idea like what the temperament of the room is, and like I open my set, my usual opener, and just silence, and then like the tension starts to build. So I made a very rookie mistake of doing my more controversial material, my bits about like feminism and the Me Too movement and trying to go there, because that is the comedy I feel the most comfortable writing and doing. And some woman did not even give me a chance to start the bit. I think I just said the Me Too movement. And I was like, I was really about it, you guys. And as a woman, and she just screams from the back of the room, rape is about power. You don't know shit. Like, wow. And I had no idea. Like, little did she know where the direction of the bit was going to go. Then she heckled me. But this is what she did this. And I had no... So I just went in on her, and I was like, that's really astounding that that's how you express distaste for something as a grown fucking woman. Like, I have, like my 4-year-old cousin didn't like his spinach the other day. And he was like, excuse me, sorry to interrupt the dinner table, but I'm not a fan of green vegetables. And, like, that's how he articulated he didn't like something. But it was downhill from there.
Yeah.
There was nothing I could do. One woman in the front row looked like she was about to have the worst case of food poisoning. Like, she just turned green at the sound of my voice.
Wow.
And I think every comic, I weirdly never felt more like a comic than that night.
Yeah. I mean, you have to have a bomb like that, I think.
Yeah.
To go through it. It's like the process.
Yeah. There was just nothing. And that's stand-up, man. Like, there are some nights where they just take one look at you. And they're like, how dare she be able to shop at Baby Gap instead of regular Gap? She should be paying regular Gap prices.
Do you shop at Baby Gap?
I don't. I wish that was true.
I mean, you're very small.
Yes, I'm tiny.
You're a very small person.
I'm tiny.
You're a very itty-bitty person.
I'm 2.5 feet tall.
I forget about how small you are because when we're sitting, we're like the same height when we're sitting.
It's equal right now.
We're very equal.
I know.
And then I'll stand up and I'll be like, oh, where'd she go?
Oh, silly Marty. That's just me going invisible.
It was like when I met you downstairs in the lobby. It was like you were sitting on like a little like mushroom. You were like, oh, hello. Welcome to my village.
I just materialized from the ground. I represent the lollipop kids.
Oh, no.
Yes, I do. I might be that for Halloween, but it would hit too close to home.
Maybe. You could be more like a pixie fairy person.
I played my first acting role was Tinkerbell.
Tinkerbell, I could see Tinkerbell.
Yeah. So it was fun.
Very good.
Yeah, I feel like Wendy was such a drab.
Total.
Yeah, such a dip. You know, and then Tinkerbell was like flying around, careless, doesn't use condoms, doesn't give a shit. You know, like
doesn't use what was the
conduit condoms.
Conduits. That's right.
Do you have a conduit?
She does not have. Tinkerbell had no conduits.
No.
And she had no problem not using them.
Not using them.
Hello.
That pixie dust was like candy cocaine. I'm pretty sure. She's a wild one.
She's from Florida.
Miami.
Yeah.
Specifically.
She's from Miami.
Yeah.
So check out CatCall on Twitter. CatCall is at CatCall.
We are CatCall.
We are CatCall.
And you are too.
And you are too.
No.
At you are too. Check out CatCall's 1-year anniversary birthday show at the Hive.
At the Misfit Hive.
The Misfit Hive in Woodside.
Yeah.
And we'll have links to that, and you have to check it out. Thanks for coming on Talkward, Brittany
God,
Brave. This is so delightful.
For having me. Enjoy me while I'm here because I'll disappear in 2 minutes.
Boom. You're just going to disappear.
That's it.
All right. Well, thanks for listening to Talkward. Thanks for being on Talkward. Check us out at weeklyhumorist.com. Come out to the Guaranteed Delivery comedy shows first Wednesdays of the month. They're a lot of fun. Brittany's going to be on the November show. Our next show is actually October 3rd, which is tomorrow if you're listening to this very quickly. If not, it'll be this is going to be out of date so quickly.
Yeah.
Me saying that on the show.
It's expiring as it happens.
It is. It's already completely lame.
Fleeting.
Our sponsor is Swill, the alcohol delivery, the alcohol store, liquor store in your pocket. Go to getswill.com and use code FUNNY5 for $5 off your first order.
Ooh.
Yeah. And you use the app, and it actually lets you price compare area liquor stores.
Oh, that's incredible.
So if you want to buy a certain kind of gin, you can see like 5 different stores that have that gin and what they're currently charging for it.
So I love that because like I'm an alcoholic, but I'm a frugal one.
Yeah, you gotta pinch your pennies when you can.
I have to have some of my shit together.
Absolutely. Yeah. So check that out. Go to getsfull.com. I'm Marty Dundix, editor in chief of Weekly Humorist, and this is Talkward. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.